Something just engaged, not a decision I staged or planned, just a small mechanical sound inside the chronological progress of waking up, where everything was ordinary, and then the particular thing that turns the ordinary into the operational found its contact point. Some mornings the switch takes the whole first hour. It aches into readiness gradually, the long warm up, but the consciousness, the song, let the slow start playing through breakfast, through the first 2 cups, through the first attempts at sentences, the eventual attempts required to reach working temperature. And working temperature varies depending on factors you can't control the night before. Today it arrived before the coffee, the particular easy recognition that the whole system was already running. The prism of the morning already split into the usable light, every bit of the available attention online before the deliberate design of the morning routine had started. And online before the routine is the whole gift of a morning like this. By 7, every subsystem confirmed the same, the prism of readiness showing green across every instrument. The scene of a morning already at operating capacity. The whole board lit up before the agenda filled the cup of the morning with its ordinary way. Every subsidiary system running at correct frequency. The whole architect, you're of the day receiving power before the achieving had been asked for. The particular spectacular of a morning where the switch finds its adorning contact point early and holds it surely through everything that comes after. The whole switched on morning already carrying its own momentum into whatever the day requires. Productive circuit of the waking, all the wire of the nervous system's entire network reporting live, the whole grid of the particular soul of this morning's operating self on. Not all mornings have current, some have the deterrent of a body that woke up in neutral. The particular futile start of an engine that turns over without quite catching that burns through the first hour, looking for ignition. And looking for ignition is its own kind of morning, just a different one. This morning, the ignition was already in the wire, the steady hum of the live circuit, already doing the merit of its job before the first cup, before the alarm had fully up ended the night. The whole grid, live and drawing, already rid of the overnight standby. There's a physical quality to the live wire morning, the particular drive of a system at full conduct. senses its own kind of abundance that the body recognizes before the mind has added up the score of the available, just the felt sense, and the felt sense before the scorecard is the most reliable morning reading. Coffee, the current was confirmed rather than deterrently present, not needed for the proof, just the pleasant extra roof of evidence. The grid already live, the live wire of the morning, running at the adorning full capacity of the switched on self. System drawn on already, delivering at the particular rate. The spectacular version of the morning requires the whole grid's desires, met before the day's requests have been filed. The contested attention of the usual morning already at the usual operating strength, and then some, the live wire then, just the fact of it running, conducting, carrying everything from here to whatever the morning asks for next into the day. The whole grid live and drawing, live and drawing. The first 5 seconds of the morning were the whole forecast, the adorning of the day. The eyes open and the entire system unencumbered by the usual protest simply began, not gradually, simply from the first second at full available speed. No warm-up, no timetable of reluctance needed. off to finish the first 5 seconds of consciousness. The reckons of the inventory done and filed before the pillow had been exiled from the routine. The whole system available at the full weight of the morning's offering before the first foot had tested the floor. The day received in the first 5 seconds, believed in from the first available second, and the first available second already everything needed. The system check came back with nothing left to track or fix or find the whole particular soul of the operational self had pulled itself from the shelf of the overnight assembled without instruction, resembled itself completely before breakfast. Usually the morning system check finds a few things to correct, the minor misalignments of the overnight's assignments. To the body, the tension in the shoulders, the mention of a half-formed worry that hitched a ride from the previous day. And hitched rides are the usual morning's inheritance from the night. This morning the inherited pile was empty, the entire file of the outstanding resolved or dissolved by the overnight. The whole particular quality control of the sleeping self having done its maintenance without needing to ask the waking self to assist with the making good of anything. The morning received an adorning clear bill before the day began. I tested the system with the first task of the morning. Didn't have to ask twice or revise or reconsider the approach, the particular bidder. For the attention was clear, the tool for the task available, the cool of the already assembled morning operational and operational on the first attempt is the whole bonus of the prepared system. By the second task, the pattern was confirmed, the Saturn return of every previous slow morning. Nowhere in the flow of this one, just the available running. The whole morning running at its own particular cunning efficiency. No overhead of the required, no dread of the startup cost, just the clean particular serene momentum of a system that had already listed its assets correctly and found them present directly available in the required configuration. No misfired sequence, no startup drama, just the operational panorama of a morning that arrived at its own working state first breath. The room didn't brighten gradually. The light arrived naturally. All at once when the blinds opened, the particular kinds of morning that work like a switch rather than a dial. The which moment the dark became lit was not gradual but the specific second the blind cleared the ledge. Some mornings the light arrives in stages, the particularly drives of the east window lighting in sequence, the whole writing of the morning in slow light, taken out to get to full bright, each increment of the available, and each increment is its own good thing, just not the light switch kind. Today the blind went up and the room received the cup of the full morning simultaneously. In every corner the harmoniously lit space confirming that the particular morning confirming light had been waiting at full strength. And waiting at full strength means the moment of opening was the whole event. The room held the light steadily, no flicker, no the readily available hesitation of the dim, just the particular trim of the morning at full illumination, the particular quality of the instant on morning light, the drawn blind releasing its hold on the dark and the bold complete brightness of the outside, doing what light does inside a room given the chance, filling every corner, the distilling of the morning into the visible all at once, the divisible darkness replaced, not in sequence, but in the single decent action of the full morning arriving as the whole adorning of the room simultaneously lit the on like a light morning, not the dimmer, not the dial, just the switch, just the tile of the floor and its sudden full The foot found the floor this morning, and the floor confirmed the dawning, the contact point with the particular, solid response of the spectacular. Ready to go day, the floor said yes. The door between the prone and the upright required no particular fight to cross, just the contact and the pace. The space between the lying down and standing up can drown the whole morning in its own particular half zone of the neither quite asleep nor quite awake, the deep resistance of the vertical transition. And the vertical transition's resistance is the whole morning's first test. Today the transition dissolved into the first standing resolve without negotiation. The floor received the weight, the door stood open to hold the body is now upright. Nobody had to argue for just the standing, and standing without the argument is already the morning going well. Whole report, the particular soul of a morning that goes right, already visible in the tight and willing contact of foot and floor. The floor contact was the whole first sentence of the soul of the day. What it communicated in the first step, articulated in the particular give and take of the weight bearing the awake, confirmed by the upright, confirmed by the particular accordingly. The foot, the floor, the forward, not as achievements, but as the outward, ordinary evidence of the particular sentence the morning had already written before the foot hit the floor and found it ready, and found itself ready in the finding. There's a particular stillness that only exists right before the morning fully starts. The illness of the pause is not real. The floor of the quiet is just the intake before the exhale. The particular state of the held breath before the day commits to its own going away into everything it becomes. I found it this morning in the kitchen, the particular kitchen shaped silence of the 7 o'clock before the kettle, before the knock of the routine against the quiet, the whole house in the last riot of the night's particular stillness. And the last stillness before the motion is the whole accumulated potential of the day. Not peaceful exactly, the quiet before the go has its own riot of the contained, the energy that hasn't become the synergy of the active day yet, coiled into the particular foiled spring of the about to start. And the about to start is different from the started. It contains all the possibilities. The kettle broke the quiet at 7:12, the particular riot of the morning releasing itself from the coiled, increasing into the first sound of the actual day. The morning released itself from the particular shelf of the pre-going into the going, the stillness unknowingly carrying everything it needed for the release, the heated spring of the quiet finally doing what the particularly coiled quiet always does, becoming the beginning, the buzz of the first real second of the day that beckoned from behind the stillness all along the whole particular morning, whole and uncoiled. always was between the last night and the keen first morning. The spring release, the coil undone, the ceased quiet now, the started day. The morning gave permission, not in words, just the particular knot of the overnight untying itself into the available, the shelf of the possible fully stocked, and the particular docked state of the overnight released into the morning's unincreased and ready for use configuration. First clearance, the breath came easily, the particular depth of the overnight air released into the first waking increased in normal breath rate. And the normal breath rate this early is the first signal of the clear morning. Second clearance, the orientation was immediate. The location of the self in the room required no particular bloom of gradual recognition, and immediate orientation means the navigation system is already running. Third clearance, the first thought of the day arrived, caught in a useful register, not worry, not urgency, not blurry, pre-coffee approximation, and useful on the first thought is the whole flight plan confirmed. All three clearances received in the first minutes, the achieved state of the morning at operating altitude, not accelerating anymore, not on the runway anymore, the particular one-way motion of the morning after clearance, where the height is just the variance between the overnight static and the morning's automatic cruising altitude, the clear permission to be here and in motion, and at the particular flat top of the available morning, with the whole adorning, with the day visible below, the self that's already at the go, and not the about to go, but the already, the ceiling of the morning steady. The mirror confirmed the version that I hadn't seen in the excursion of recent mornings, the particular version that shows up when the spectacular alignment of rest and readiness, and the particular steadiness of the overnight conspires to produce the self that aspires and actually arrives at that aspiration. There are several versions of the morning self, the excursions through the available configurations, depending on the combinations of the previous day, the sleep, the particular quiet, or the leap of the night's processing into the morning, and the morning reveals expectation, and the higher specification is not always guaranteed. That's what makes it notable. Confirmed the version, the returned eye contact, the particular ease of the first exchange, the please and thank you of the morning done clearly, the whole day in the hands of this version of the particular bands of the fully assembled self that sometimes shows up shelf of the overnight, upgraded, the not yet degraded first hour of the day at the top of the available, the whole stop, the clock quality of the morning where the adorning of the assembled self is complete, and the first contact with the day's fleet of requirements lands with the ease of someone fully present. The keys all cut and ready, the whole particular soul of the best available morning, running at the exact specification of what the day requires before the day fires its first requirement. Something decided in my favor overnight. No particular reason visible in the light of the morning. No event that could account for this particular extent of the good, just the arithmetic of the overnight, doing it specific, working, coming out this time better than expected. The whole letter of the morning reading, advantage yours. It's not always the case, the tally. Some mornings comes back in the valley of the adequate, the perfectly fine, the horizontally unremarkable start that asked nothing of the available extraordinary, just the functional, the regular, spectacular of the particular ordinary morning doing its job, and the ordinary doing its job is itself no small thing on most mornings. Today the ordinary overperformed the same elements, the normed sequence of the morning, running at a higher register, the cunning of the same inputs producing different outputs, the producing of the particular win from the standard kit, and the standard kit producing the win is the whole mystery of the good start morning. By 9, the advantage was confirmed at every available metric, the affirmed reading of the morning ahead of the usual, the overnight thread having tied itself correctly, the overnight arithmetic came out right again, the particular and unearned campaign of the morning delivering the whole available weight of the soul of the day in advance of any request, the win Everything, and for once, nothing missing. Every single morning, reliable as a clock. The particular knock of the good mood arriving at its scheduled delivery time. The particular is scheduled appointment that never gets cancelled. The morning standing order handled by whatever department of the overnight decided that 7:15 was right for the particular delivery of the bright. I noticed the pattern around week 3, the particular quality of the free mood arriving at the same time. Each morning the same rhyme of the minute hand's position when the shift from the attrition of the groggy to the actual good first happened in the neighborhood of the 7:15. And the 7:15 is apparently the factory setting for my good mood. 7:15 is when the morning finds me, not before the barely functional 6:45 to 7:14 alive, but not particularly inclined toward anything the grind of the pre-scheduled ordinary. And then the particular stationary moment at the 7:15, the lift. I've tried to move it earlier, the deliberate, the burlier attempt to front load the good mood through the particular brood of earlier interventions. Cold water, exercise at 6, the shorter sleep that promises the brighter start. And the earlier interventions arrive earlier but weaker. 7:15 still wins. Today I waited for it, watched the minute hand, the batch delivery of the routine morning, coming off the production and dawning the first hour. And it's 7:15. 7:15, the particular appointment kept again. The morning's own amen of the scheduled good mood delivery to the same address, considering the same resident, running the same cunning punctual route through the first hour into the particular burst of the switched on state that arrives like the reliable freight of the well-timed morning at exactly the adorning scheduled moment every time, without variation, without the grime of the unreliable, just the particular spectacular delivery, 7:15 every day. The first thing that woke up this morning wasn't me. It was something upstream of me in the causal chain of the morning. A spark somewhere in the adorning preconscious system that preceded just waking the seated ignition in the circuitry below. The thinking that sent the particular glow of readiness up through the whole stack. The spark is not the engine, the particular beginning of the ignition sequence is its own brief lens before the combustion. And the combustion needs the spark that the spark doesn't know about yet. The first word I managed was clear, the managed clarity of the word before the first coffee, before the more elaborate verbal machinery started. And clear before coffee is the whole downstream benefit of the upstream spark. The third signal was the particular ease of the first spectacular decision of the morning. No deliberation, the adorning of the choice with its own confidence. And confidence at the first decision means the spark had already reached the working parts. Dum 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 The engine caught on the first turn this morning, not the usual morning of the second or third attempt at ignition, not the attempt that catches briefly and then fails before the fourth try nails the particular sequence. Just the clean, immediate presence of the whole system taking on the first offer, making the transition from overnight static to the particular bright run state in one uninterrupted motion. The spark found the fuel, found the timing, found the correct ratio, and the whole engine woke at the first turn of the key. There's a restlessness that isn't a problem, the particular bottom of the chest kind that isn't anxiety, that isn't the glistened edge of the worried, just the particular spectacular inability to be still. That means the morning has enough energy in it that the tough job is containing it, not finding it. The bad kind sits in the same general address as this, the collateral location of the two kinds of restless means you have to be the restless expert to distinguish. The tight jaw is the anxious, the particular raw edge of the wound up. This is different, and different is the whole thing. Same address, completely different tenant. This kind moves forward facing the energy of the chasing outward rather than the particular inward spiral of the worried, the toward rather than the around. The forward facing is the sound of the morning with too much in it, and too much in it is the morning's most generous version of the problem. The particular test of the good kind is where the energy is a line, not inward looping, not the tight breath of the anxious outward right direction. The morning pulling forward. fine. Too much available, too switched on, too lit for the ordinary morning. But the morning delivered it anyway. The temperature this morning is already higher than usual. Not the ambient, just the particular residual heat of a system that didn't fully cool overnight, that didn't return to the baseline between one day and the next, the unseen thermal state of the already warm engine arriving at the form of the morning at its own running temperature. Most mornings start from ambient, the gradual, the convenient, slow climb from the overnight static to the particular right temperature of the working state. Takes its standard rate of time, follows its standard path, and the standard path is fine, just not what's happening this morning. Today the cool down clearly didn't complete the nearly full operating temperature of the previous day's particular metabolism persisted through the night, and the particular clue was in the first breath. Still warm, and still warm from yesterday means the climb from zero is already skipped. Was complete, the persistent heat of the still running from yesterday, self-operating without the delay of the warm-up phase entirely. The whole morning already at the temperature it earns by noon on ordinary days. The particular phase of the warm-up already behind me before the morning could remind me it was required. The system carrying its own full prism of the heat forward from the previous day's full sum of the running, the particular spectacular continuation of the previous day's operational state into the new day without the usual transition. Already warm, already at the particular thermostat reading of the fully deployed self, not retrieved from the shelf of the overnight static, but carried forward automatic alley into the next morning, already running hot. Already running hot. Not going through the motions today, the particular way. The morning landed made the option of a half committed, the adoption of the adequate effort morning, simply unavailable, the adorning of the day with the full version was the only available excursion that the morning was going to accept. There's a version of the morning where the minimum adorning is sufficient, where the basic assembly of the mosaic self into the functional is all the morning's optional requirement, dressed and present and approximately pleasant. And approximately pleasant is enough for the ordinary morning, not for this one. This morning arrived at full asking price. frequency of the serious morning, running through every adorning interaction of the first hour. The morning asked for the genuine version and received it, not because the day deceived it into believing less was available, but because the full audible weight of the morning's particular ask arrived alongside the particular task of the whole self showing up at the actual size, the whole cup of the available offered forward into the day's requirements, the outward commitment of the full effort morning, not the performance of the dawning effort with the appearance of commitment, but the actual commitment itself. The full morning received at full price and paid in full without reservation. Everything before 9 this morning landed somewhere useful. Done not the beautiful but purposeless kind of morning where the time passes adorning itself with the available and leaving nothing accomplished. The receiving end of this morning was the whole particular purposeful soul of the efficient. Everything counted. There are mornings that account for themselves generously. The count of the available hours spent freely, but without the intent to produce anything particular. The spectacular morning of the beautiful drift. And the beautiful drift is also valid, just a different kind of morning. Today the morning wanted output, not obsessively, not the doubt-driven efficiency of the anxious, but the particular spacious productivity of the switched on. Every available interval drawn on for something that moves something forward and moved something forward before 9 is the whole measure of the efficient morning. By 8:50 the account of the pre-9 interval, the count of the useful things the morning had accommodated, 5 adorning completions before the main day started. The pre-9 window closed at 9, having been fully used, not abused, but the over-scheduled, not the bruised version of the efficient morning, where every second adorning a task becomes its own particular exhaustion. Just the loan of the morning's hours put to the particular powers of the switched on, the particular spectacular of the early hours, fully occupied not by the frantic but by the calm, the antic. I paid it use of the available time and the particular rhyme of the morning that knew what it wanted to do before it started and did it without waste. All the doors were already open when I arrived. available spread of the soul of the morning offered forward without the usual outward restriction of the this but not that morning, just the whole flat spread of everything accessible. Usually the morning arrives already narrowed the drives and constraints of the previous days and finish the devious carryover of the agendas, remaining items, the vendors of the not quite completed queuing, and the queue of the not quite completed is the closed door of the ordinary morning. Today the queue had been resolved by the overnight, the dissolved backlog, leaving the morning at its own dawning. Full availability, no carryover, no the rollover of the previous days unclosed, just the open, the disclosed morning at full access, and full access in the morning is its own particular spaciousness. The first hour moved through the open morning without the closed, unbroken doors of the usually restricted. Every direction unrestricted, every option at its full address. The morning spread itself open in every available direction. The particular section of the available that's usually behind the door. The beautifully restricted zone of the not today. All of it reclassified today as accessible as present as the ordinary pleasant available. Nothing held back behind the overnight lock. Nothing in the backlog, just the whole catalog of what the morning can be when it arrives fully free of the previous days restriction